Do 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 do
Spiritual success, yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
gorgeous beings. Welcome to Spiritual
Hello.
Sexy. I am Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener, and we have my co-host Jeff, our Freedom Jedi. And today we have a guest for the end of Pride Month. This is my person. Tara is my person. Like, we have done a lot of life together, and I'm so excited because you're the first guest that we've had on the podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, welcome.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Tara? I mean, I know a little bit about you, but these guys don't.
All right. My name is Tara Trainer Grimes. I am Heather is my oldest friend. We've known each other since we were 13, 14 years old. So 5 or 10 years, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about
that. I am lesbian. I've been out since I was probably 21, I think, something like that. So when Heather asked if I would come and join the podcast for Pride, I said absolutely. I am also I'm married. I'm a mother of a whole mess of kids, and I'm also a teacher. I've been teaching middle school science for 25 years, something like that. So, and I'm just glad to be here.
She does not give herself enough credit. I just want to say, like, she's a minister. She's part of a church that is LGBTQ plus friendly. It's one of the most welcoming congregations.
Mm-hmm.
And she has ministered at that church before. She is all up and up on all of the LGBTQ political stuff. And her wife were the third gay couple to get a marriage license in the state of Nevada?
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes, we were. If you Google my name, especially if you Google my name in conjunction with my wife, Kathy, if you put Tara and Kathy, Trainer Grimes, we're all over the news. We didn't anticipate to be all over the news, but it just kind of happened that way. Well, I don't know. You want to jump right into that story? And
no,
but.
But my boobs on the TV around there. They're getting marriage license.
Yeah. So Kathy and I have been married 3 times to each other. We got married the first time just with our church. As Heather mentioned, it's very open and affirming church. The difference between open, accepting, welcoming, and open and affirming. Open means, yeah, come just as you are so we can change you. Okay. Accepting means, oh, you can come just as you are, but you get to sit in the back and just don't tell anybody anything. I mean, just be, but it's don't tell anybody. And open and affirming means that LGBTQIA plus people can take leadership positions. And as Heather said, I've been the children's minister at my church for 17 years. So, and I'm also a licensed marriage officiant and minister. So I can marry him and bury him. And I'm able to guest preach at our church now. Our person who is our pastor right now is also a lesbian. My wife, don't tell anybody, but my wife's a lesbian too. She's also a minister. I know, right? She's also a minister with United Church of Christ. So, yeah, Northwest Community Church. Come check us out. Oh, blatant plug. All right.
Wait, as you should.
Right. So we're on episode 13 before we jump into any more stuff. We've made it to episode 13, Rainbow Rift. We're going to unpack the division within the LGBTQIA plus. Is an IA on there now? Did I miss something?
It's actually the official one right now is LGBTQIA2S plus.
I can't. Okay. Community. Got it. Got it.
Community.
The queers. It's
Queers.
The queer.
We're here. We're
Queers.
queer. We're used to
Right.
it. So
We're of a generation that's either really, really, really offensive or it's okay. And
yeah,
it's one or the other.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And we are a trigger warning, so you never know what's going to be said on our podcast. This is 18 and over. If you are not 18 or you're listening with your children, you might want to tune out now, though our name says it all. We do talk about a little bit of everything, and you never know what's going to come out of our fucking mouths. So this is your time to exit now if you're going to hear something inappropriate. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Tara. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this topic itself is because, especially here in Detroit, we are extremely segregated when it comes to our community. We have the gay bars, and we used to have a couple lesbian bars, and those kind of closed recently because lesbians don't go to bars. They get U-Hauls. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
I know that's horrible. And please
No,
do
it's
make all the
true.
gay jokes you want to.
I have a theory, but anyway.
Yeah,
Oh no, I want to
So-
hear the theory.
yeah. I mean, me too.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You brought it up.
The whole idea of oh wow, this gets really kind of into it. All right, so the whole idea of a U-Haul lesbian. Anybody who's listening who don't get the reference, it's said that what the joke is, what does a lesbian bring on the second date? A U-Haul,
A U-Haul.
right? And I think it goes back to kind of gay culture versus lesbian culture as far as the hookup scene and stereotypes, totally leaning into it for a minute to say that men tend to look at sex, especially gay men. There's a fantastic movie out about it that talks about basically like love is love, but it's different for people. And there's no shame, no anything to just go out and hook up. And men especially tend to go out and hook up and then maybe talk about maybe a relationship somewhere down the line, but it's all about sex for a lot of guys. Stereotypically, women tend to look for relationships as opposed to just sex. Also, gay men have always had their place. There's been underground bars for gay men forever. When a lesbian bar comes about, it becomes, oh my gosh, it's a bachelorette party, and they all go crash the lesbian bar for whatever reason. And it's not really a safe space for women. A lot of straight men begin frequenting lesbian bars, so lesbian bars kind of end up going away. And because for a long time without gay marriage, there was no like dating scene, there was no real safe place to go out and date. You don't hook up necessarily as women right away because a lot of women like the emotional connection first. So in order to do that, you end up kind of finding the person and latching on to that person really quickly. And the only safe place to really get to know someone is in your home. So that hookup culture for men, the counterpart for that is the stay at home and cuddle for women.
It's all about balance.
It's all about. I was kind of a whore back in the day, so I used to kind of go and just hook up all the time. so whatever. So I always break a
I did
stereotype.
not know that about her.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Haven't we talked about that on this? Oh, I'm kidding.
I think we have. Tara's the first one.
And speaking of
she loves
lesbian
to
bars
tell
in
that to
general,
people at parties too.
there's only something like 7 actual lesbian bars in the entire United States.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard, I have, I'm a fat gag. I have like half of my friendship, close knit friends are gay. So there's that part. And there's like lesbian time. Like in lesbian years, they always say like 3 months of a lesbian relationship is like 3 years in a straight
Absolutely.
relationship.
When I tell people that Kathy and I have been together for 17 years, especially within lesbian circles, they're like, oh my God, that's like 50 years of lesbian time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're like
absolutely crazy.
the epitome of what you want your relationship to be like.
Who,
I
Kathy
mean,
and
they
I?
are relationship goals.
Oh,
They
you
are,
know,
they are, they're
we're
relationship goals. I always, and I say that all the time. I'm like, I want a relationship like Kathy and Tara have, because they like
well,
they do everything together. There was once upon it. I mean, to get one of them to do something without the other one it's hard.
yeah. I'm like, she's right there. No, actually, she's
Yeah,
not.
right.
She's
She's
downstairs.
sitting next to me right now. No, she
She
could
come
totally.
she came and hung out with us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hello.
I think she's we've spent the last 10 days, the three, Kathy and I and our daughter Caitlin and our three dogs, on a road trip. So this is the first time I think any of us have been away from everybody for a minute. So a little bit of alone time is a good thing, I think.
One of the
So
things
there's
I always say
definitely
about
a rift there, right? So we're already talking about a division where there's not like women, lesbians don't even have a safe place to go and just hit on other women.
And I
And
think
this is horrible because as a straight person, I guess I would consider myself a cis female. I don't know.
you are cis, you are
I
female.
mean,
we were assigned female at birth and present as female, so cis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. A straight. I don't know if I'm a straight female though.
Well,
Be honest.
even spaghetti is straight till you get it wet. So,
That's
I'm sorry.
You know the difference between a gay man and a straight man, right?
What's that?
A six pack.
huh?
Yeah. Yep. There you go. You got to
We're
remember
gonna do
that
all
one.
the gay jokes tonight, just to let
Yeah.
you know. These are all just jokes, guys. I know that there are stereotypes out there and that we fight every day, but sometimes you gotta laugh at some of the things that we know are you can see in the community. One of the
Right.
things that was really groundbreaking for me was Queer as Folk, the original,
Yes.
because it really did show a lot of what gay life looks like, really in reality. Like the hookup culture, the bar scene, that whole culture was it was pretty true. Yeah, a little more hyped up for TV, but still pretty accurate. And I think that when you start seeing the stereotypes and they had definite definite stereotypes right there. The P flag mom, the twink, the homo repressed homophobe in Ted,
Hmm.
the good buddy Mikey, and then the whore Brian.
And even that internalized homophobia situation. And yeah.
Seeing those stereotypes, and you can actually map those on people that like
Yeah.
frequently, and we all have all of them, obviously, and we all have different variations of it all. But so just to say, yes, we're playing into some stereotypes. Yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit, and maybe make a couple jokes that may, uh, in a PC world, may be inappropriate. And there's a lot about this show that's inappropriate, so fuck you. Um,
Well, there you go. Well,
I
what's
was gonna say
inappropriate, right? I
we
think
are
it's
not
completely
PC.
appropriate.
right.
We're not PC in any way. I don't. So like I never really thought about there being. I just figured if it was a gay bar, like everyone went there. I mean, because in Vegas, here that it kind of is like that, right? We have a whole section which we lovingly call it the Fruit Loop that has the gay clubs. And I don't know, everyone I knew from both, from
Mhm.
all areas went there. So like I never really thought about it until you brought it up that.
Yeah, here there was two lesbian bars that were pretty lesbian. Technically they were both, but it was
Mhm.
very lesbian centric. Um and they both closed. The second one closed like 3 years ago, maybe, and it was around forever. I worked there for a minute. Um Craziness. Back when I was younger. Yes. Um younger.
Mhm.
And but there was, there was definitely, it was a lesbian bar, and then one of the lesbian bars turned into a gay bar that I frequented a lot. Um, it just became one of my regular places. Um, and the other one was on the other side of town, and it just wasn't worth it for me to go there. And it was lesbian, so I wouldn't go there. But in my in my experience as a gay man, lesbians are mean when you go into their bar.
I think that's not untrue. I think women tend to, it's the whole bear versus man thing, right? I think when a woman in a safe space, a safe women's space, when a man, gay, straight, or somewhere in between, walks into a woman's space, women can react protectively and of their space. And sometimes that absolutely comes across as anger. Get out of here, that you're not welcome here. Most gay bars are everybody, LGBTQIA2S plus 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 plus. But women only. Like when we went to Sue Ellen's, which is an actual lesbian bar, I think it's in Fort Worth, Texas, or Dallas, somewhere around there. It was very different. Women were. It was so relaxed, and men can't really conceptualize what it's like to be a woman and have that kind of always on alert when a man is present. And I know not all men, et cetera, and I'm not absolutely not demonizing men. I love men. My best friends are men. I have wonderful brothers and father figures. So not to demonize men at all. But it kind of goes back to, well, what would the world be like if there weren't men out here to protect you? Protect us from what? Without men, what do we need protection from? And so when you're in a woman's space, a man, no matter how harmless and innocuous that man is, he walks in and women close ranks. And like you mentioned, lesbian bars become gay bars. There was a lesbian owned, run, and managed bar here in Las Vegas. And once men started coming in, they took over and pushed women out of our safe space. So we'd rather just go to a coffee shop.
Well, yeah. Well, the lesbians sold the bar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Elena sold the bar. I mean, she owned it for a while, like 30 years ish.
That's a long time.
You know what I mean? Great. I worked there. The funny thing is that my brother worked for the previous owner in that bar. When it was it was technically more of a gay bar. It was still very lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very good mix in that bar for, like, even when it was lesbian, it was more mix for most of the time, and then it got really, really nasty. One of the times I went in there, it was like, and I'm like, I used to work here, people.
Yeah.
Like, I am not your enemy, and I would go up to the owner, and we all talked, and the manager and everything, and I've worked for them, and so it was fun for like 10 minutes, and then it was like some of the women were just like, "What is he doing here?" kind of thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I
And
would
it is
love a
kind of
bar where
funny,
I
and we
got to
mentioned
go and
before.
not be hit on.
Sorry?
I would love a bar that I could go and women would tell me I was beautiful, and I would have
But it's like same. But it's like how you mentioned before, and well, the whole topic of this podcast today, as far as the rift, that's not, we're some of the most excluded and divided from society, subgroup of people, and yet within our subgroup of people, we are just as divided and just as snarky and awful and nasty. I used to go to a church that said it was open and affirming to gay people, which it was, but it was, and I don't want to throw names of churches out there and bash anybody at all, but it was a gay church. Like everybody there was gay. I grew up Catholic. So my older brother one day was like, hey, and he's my best friend. I love him to death. And he said, hey, I want to come to church with you. I want to just kind of see what your church is like. So he came to church. Now my brother's cute. So all these gay men are like, hey, who's this guy? And I said, it's my brother. I'm sorry, he's straight. And immediately people are like, well, what's he doing here? Why is he here? this is our church. Wait a minute. You were kicked out of a church and now you're doing the same thing to somebody else for the same reason because they don't have sex the same way you do. That's really the thing. What the heck? So at the church where I attend at Northwest Community Church, whoops, knocked you over. At Northwest Community Church, we're an everybody church. We're probably 60-40, about 60% gay, 40% straight. We've never had a show of hands or anything, but that's kind of a guess. But
that'd be kind of, I'm sorry. That would
sorry?
be kind of fun. That would kind of be fun.
Raise your hand if. I mean, Heather, who's not Christian, doesn't identify as Christian. She's been to our church, and she's seen me preach a time or two, and she's always very welcome as well.
Or Kathy. I love watching Kathy preach.
Yeah, me too.
I look forward to when I come in. I'm definitely going to go. That's how we're going to spend Sunday.
Yay.
Yeah.
Heather doesn't know that yet, but well, Heather probably won't even be there.
I probably won't be here.
Yeah.
Well, we're
gonna miss each other, right? We don't need Heather.
I can't. I don't want to think about it. She's not allowed to move away.
I totally understand, and I want her happy. I want her blissfully stupid happy.
Yes.
And I don't think that's gonna happen in Vegas, unfortunately.
Yeah, she deserves it.
But New Orleans, on the other hand.
I don't know. Maybe Tara, we could get. Well, see, if I'm in Florida, then I'm an hour away from the moms, Tara's mom and her wife, and
by the way, they just there's an organization called Tongues of Wagging. It's like a community theater kind of thing, and my mom and my other mom, Rosemary, had their love story written up in a news article. The Palm Springs. No, Palm Beach, whatever it is in Florida. I don't know. Anyway, it had it written up there, and they were invited to come and basically tell their story at this community theater, which they did. And now there's this, we're not allowed to say who's who, but there's a producer of a movie who has reached out to my mom and Rosemary about turning their story into a movie. So
they were best friends in high school. It's a beautiful story.
Yes. I mean, in a quick story, my mom and Rosemary knew each other for the time they were 9 years old, and they were best friends all growing up. They had their first kiss with each other, practicing for boys, and then life being what it was, in the 50s and 60s and so forth, they married men. They moved to opposite sides of the country. My mom and dad had an amazing love story for another time, but really, really against all odds kind of situation. And they were incredibly close. Fucked like rabbits till the day my dad died. And my dad's last words to my mom was, "I love you." And then he died. And then my mom looked at us because we were all in the room, and she said, "I will never again love another man." And within a couple of months, 2020 happened, COVID, etc. And this long lost childhood friend reached out to my mom just to kind of reconnect. And you were so important to me. And then she flew out to visit, and one thing led to another. They ended up falling in love, and they got married. And, and she was right. She never loved another man. She fell in love with a woman. So anyway, it's a really cool story. There's a lot more to it than that, but it's so.
But I'm only an hour away from the moms, so I'm just leaving one part of the family to go to the other part of the family.
Yeah.
And Rosemary has a special place in my heart.
Yes, I love her. I love them so much. So I have a gay brother now, because Rosemary's son is gay. So I'm not the black sheep. I'm not the only rainbow sheep of the family anymore. Oh, well, I have a lesbian mama and a gay brother, and my nephew is. My niece is transgender. Of course, I have a trans son, as you know, Heather, and so we're We're just
The rainbow
representing
family.
all the flags up in here.
Don't you have a brother who's bisexual? I don't want to say any names, but
Oh yes. Well, he identifies as trisexual. He'll try anything. So yeah.
there you go.
And you got to try it twice because the first time it could have been good
3
or
times
bad.
just to make sure.
Twice works. 3 was probably better. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, our children, as I mentioned before, we have a mess of kids, and our kids are the spectrum. We have one identifies as cis, heterosexual, married to a man, 100% happy where she is. To the other side, transgender, gay, in a relationship with another man. So we have, and of course we have everyone in between: bisexual, pansexual,
I have
yeah,
the rainbow
lesbian.
children as well.
Say again?
I said I have the rainbow children as well.
Yep.
Like the one boy out of all the girls, and he's gay. And I have,
But
and all my girls are bisexual.
yeah, I think that's a generational thing too. I think there's because it's just so much more accepted and so much more just allowed to explore your sexuality. I think it's 25 years ago, teaching 20 years ago, when a kid would come to me and say, I think I'm gay, or I think I'm this, I think I'm that, and I still put yourself in a box. Be comfortable in your own skin, but don't identify who you are at 12 years old and try to live into an identity that you've established when you're 12. But that goes for straight people as well, because in this heteronormative society and world, how many of us have tried to force ourselves into a box that we thought we had to be in when we were 12, right? So just live your life and be comfortable and love who you love, and but
I think
when
everyone's on the spectrum in sexuality in some way. I had a friend who was very much like there's not very many extremes of you're usually somewhere in
the Kinsey scale, all those sex research and
And it's
but
kind of funny
good
how the Kinsey scale gets. I had somebody try to use that negatively recently, and I went because there was an article and the headline was a little off, and then when you started reading the article, it wasn't as bad as the headline was, obviously, because it can't be. They're using the Kinsey scale, and it was like, okay, and then I read the article and I was like, did you read this article? What it actually says, and did you read the research that goes behind that? Have you done any of the actual? Because I've been studying this for my life, here.
Come on now, you don't think people actually read articles? They just read clickbaits and headlines.
Yeah, but it was bad though. It was the headline was something like no something about number 1 on a Kinsey scale, or it was really skewed, and I was it made me click because I'm like, what are they actually talking about? That headline doesn't match that thing. And I was like, okay, according to the Kinsey scale. I'm like, according to Kinsey scale, we're all on a spectrum.
Yep.
Yeah. So. I wonder where on that spectrum I am. I mean, I've been with women.
And I think
but if I had to choose a side, that's what I always said. If I had to choose a side, then I want a penis.
And just reminder though, because you have known me for a long time, I used to say the same thing. Just saying. But I think sexuality is also
48 years. I'd have figured that.
I think sexuality is fluid too, because there was a time I identified as bisexual, and I think I probably really truly was bisexual. Talk about the rift in the community. There's a lot of people. Bisexuality is not really a thing, right? And some of that has to do with because the heteronormative upbringing we all have. We all try to put ourselves and live into this identity. Then when we realize, well, maybe I'm attracted to over here, but that's okay. That's just for play. But this is for real life here. I have to get married and have children, etc. But I kind of want to play over here, so I'm bisexual. When in reality, for me anyway, it came to a point where I thought, if I had to, as Heather said, if I had to choose a side, right? I could live the rest of my life without ever being with a man and have zero, but I could not live the rest of my life in joy and fulfillment and, abundance, as Scripture calls us to live in abundance, right? I couldn't live in abundance without sharing my life with a woman. I know that, and so for
And I've watched
me,
you go through the whole process too.
say again.
I've watched you go through this
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah, I can't be gay. I'm Catholic. I can't be gay. I'm
Yeah.
Catholic. Oh wait, I can't be Catholic because girl, I'm gay. Okay, so
Right.
yeah, and it really was. That's again another whole show, but yeah, that the sexuality is fluid and the journey is real. The journey is real. One of the things I feel that the U-Haul culture of lesbians is going to start going away because we can date and because we can explore and because it's more culturally appropriate and I'm not going to get a beer can chucked at me most of the time walking down the street with a woman anymore in this day and age because we just don't live in that same place as we used to. So I don't have to hide in my living room,
And
so maybe that kind of U-Haul society culture will start to, or stereotype, excuse me, will start to go away. Hopefully.
For me, because I grew up, I'm gay, so I'm on the other side of that, and what I've seen is that it's always been easier for lesbians to be in society than it was for gay men.
Absolutely.
Because men think lesbians are hot.
Exactly.
Two women,
Because two boys have the ick factor, but two girls, hell yeah. And that's for a man as well. When a man who's straight thinks of two women, they're like, all right.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, no, honey, you're going to lose that battle.
I've done it. It's no. No. Just no.
You
There's
don't
not.
want to make out, Jeff? I'm so disappointed.
You and I can make out. We'll make
Okay.
out, and I will show you how to kiss.
Oh, okay.
Ooh. I feel like that's a challenge.
I'll never forget. So 2 years ago, I have a really good friend, Gabby, and she was dating this guy Ahmed, and Ahmed was Arabic, obviously, and so culturally could not be gay, and I think that he really was at least bisexual, and we got hit it off really well, and he would always bring me something too. It was never just her something. It would be he would bring her something and then me something, you know.
Right.
So it was kind of a joke that we were kind of all three dating. And then her birthday, we ended up all making out. And had I not gotten as sick as I did, we probably would have all done something. I would have, yeah. But
Yeah.
I got so wasted that night. I had been on antibiotics for a month and a half, and was in the hospital for a week, was on antibiotics for a month, and then this is the first time I went out, and I had 2 beers, and I was passing out. And I was eating clean the whole time too, like, did all the things that you should not just go out and get alcohol after that, like, and
Yeah.
I was throwing up. One of the things I'm most proud about is that we were going down the highway, and I was throwing up, and I did not get not one drop on that car.
Nice.
Not one drop.
Impressive.
I was like, because I honestly was expecting it to be all over that car.
Right.
Yeah, it was gross. But I passed out in the bar. Like,
Oh, that's
it was
never
bad.
good. Yeah.
No.
You need your friend should have had your back and they should have been taking you out of the bar way before.
Well, they did, but I really did come on really. I had 2 beers. I didn't drink like,
Yeah.
the big huge amount. It was 2 beers, and I was like, oh.
Right.
And I sat down, and I was like, oh, actually, I sang. I sang Survivor by Destiny's Child that I don't remember.
Okay,
I
what
remember
is it with
putting it in.
gay people in karaoke? You all love karaoke. What is
We
up with
do.
that?
Maybe,
How can
maybe
you not
because it
have a
allows
gay
us to
karaoke bar.
it allows us to step out of who we're supposed to be and become someone completely new. And maybe that kind of, goes into that whole
It gives us something to
gay thing
do.
anyway.
I guess.
We don't have to it gives us something to do. That so
Yeah.
a lot of times when you're in the bar, it's like, all right, it's great if you go with a whole bunch of people, or if you're an extrovert. But if you're someone like me who kind of struggles with that sometimes, um, I can go in and someone's gonna say something to me, someone's gonna come up to me, we're gonna have a conversation, and it kind of forces me to have conversation
Hmm.
and not sit in a corner somewhere and play video games.
Fair enough.
You know,
Yeah.
I used to be such an extrovert, and I'm really not anymore. I don't know that I
Kathy
ever
says
really
she used
was.
to be
I
an
just
extrovert until we got together, and then I'm an extrovert enough for both of us. So
that is true.
that is true.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Back to really quickly, just because I want to kind of circle back to the rift, because I think when Heather told me that was the topic, and that's such a vitally important thing when we um, within the community. Again, we tend to be this strangely exclusive community, um, and I think some of that has to do within ourselves as well, right? We all have internalized homophobia. We all, most of us, I think, if given the choice, at least at one point in our life, to be gay or straight, like if I could have chosen at one point, would I have chosen to lose friends and compromise, possibly lose family, and would I choose a more difficult life? I wouldn't choose any other life than I have right now. I absolutely adore my life, my children, my life, but it's definitely more difficult, right? um, One of the things I was telling Heather that I wanted to kind of talk about was when we became foster parents. We became foster parents specifically for one kiddo that, um, again, not my story to tell, but had a lot going on, was homeless for 10 years, was had no family that he knew of, and he is trans. So when we became foster parents, specifically to work with teenagers and hard to place kids, there's a wonderful organization called SAFY, SAFY. It's specialized placement for and alternatives for family and youth. Um, when we first got Elijah, everybody just kind of figured because we were gay, we would be perfectly fine and know exactly what to do with a transgender person. And they were wrong. I didn't have a clue. I knew
yeah,
nothing. I didn't know about hormones. I didn't know about top surgery, STPs, and all these things is complete new language that I had no idea. And I had to come to terms myself with, because I would look at him sometimes and think like, man, life would just be so much easier if you were just a little lesbian. Just be a little lesbian and it's fine. You don't have to be trans, right? And that was speaking from my reality, not his reality, right? And watching this kid, and I told him when he came to us and he came out as trans and we were talking about, what to do and where to go. I said, I'm going to take a picture of you every week, every Friday. You're going to take a picture in my backyard. You're going to stand here. I'm going to take a picture of you because you are going to want to see your transition. And so
And it's
because
a
he was a
huge
foster
transition.
youth, we had to go to court to have hormone replacement. He was 15 when he started hormones. He came to us just a couple weeks. He came permanently to us just a couple of weeks after he started hormone placement. When he was 17, we had to go to court and fight for him to have top surgery, and which he was able to do. We actually were kind of trailblazers. We were the first family to have a foster youth get top surgery before they were 18. We had to pay for it out of pocket, which we were able to do for him. And he always kind of wanted to be stealth. He wanted to, don't ever tell, don't, I want to, I'm a boy, I'm a boy, I'm a boy. And the first Pride parade that we went into with our church, with Northwest Community Church, after he had top surgery, he was just our kid. Not a lot of people didn't even know that he was assigned female at birth. And we were getting ready to walk the parade, and he had like this, rainbow hat on or whatever, and he was going to hold the banner at the front with our other son, who is a biological assigned male at birth and presents male, cis boy. He was holding one end of the banner, and my other son was holding the other end of the banner. And he said, "Wait, wait, 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 wait!" And he ran over to the float as we were getting ready to start walking, and he took his shirt off, and he put his shirt in the float, and he walked down in the middle of Las Vegas, with his pretty fresh scars, and just proclaimed to the world that this is who I am. And I've learned so much from this kid. you
Yeah.
know,
And
kids are
he's
supposed to
all
learn.
about, like, if you know him, he will educate you. I
Yes.
asked him all kinds of things. I spent a month with this kid last summer, and he went, "You could ask me anything." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you ready for some questions?" Because
And he's
I'm
so
asking them
brave,
all,
and he's an incredible human being, and he has overcome so much in his life, and he could 100% pass, go stealth. You would never know he's trans. And I look at him when the whole like bathroom debate and everything was going on, and he went to City Hall as a 17-year-old kid, and he stood in front of this panel of people and was like, "You want me to go into the bathroom with your daughter because of what's in my pants? Is that what we're doing here?" I mean, he was just so brave and was just an absolutely incredible person. But had he come to us 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have been able to be 10 years before he did. I don't know if I would have been able to be the parent to him that I was able to be now. And that was because of the church that I go to, and a person that went to our church. And again, I'm trying to be respectful of people's names, so I will call her BJ. And you know who I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure, Heather.
I do.
But there
I
was
knew when
a
you started
trans
the
woman at our
story.
church. And when we first met her, she looks like a boy in a dress. She's much older. She's in her 70s, 60s, maybe at the time when I met her. And no hormone, there was in a time that, and when I first met her, I had to really think about pronouns and really, because I would see her and I want to say him, and I would stumble on names. And while I didn't have like an ick factor or anything like that, I still wasn't, I mean, she's not really a woman. I mean, she's a trans woman. She's not really a woman. And even as part of the LGBTQIA community, I had a stumbling block, right? And when we became a little more friendly with each other and we were having parties at my house and I would invite people from church, I would invite her and then feel like I had to explain her. Well, okay, somebody's going to come, and just to let you know. And I always kind of had this internal division, right? And then we have this thing at our church where the letter carriers food drive, where we go out and gather food in conjunction with the post office to stock food pantries. Our food pantry being one of them at our church. And I was assigned a shift because we all signed up, right? And I was assigned a shift, and I had to work with BJ. And I went, okay, that's fine. It's whatever. It's fine. So I'm sitting at this booth in front of a grocery store as people are walking in, and we're trying to get them to get a bag and go load up a bag with food and donate for the food pantry. And these kids, these older teens, young 20s folks, boys, rode up on their bicycles, and they came in and they saw BJ and immediately started laughing and look at this person over here. And I lost it. I lost my shit, because I look over at her and her whole face was just like, meh, it's normal. Not hurt, not embarrassed, just like that was her reality. And I lost it. And I got up with my church t-shirt on, and I walked over and I said, "Excuse me, do you have a problem with the woman behind the counter over here? Because let me tell you, this woman has done more godly things than I bet you." I went off on these people. She is raising money for the poor. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What does this make you feel? Does you making somebody feel small? Does that make you feel big? Is that what we're doing right now? I went off on these, and to the point where I kind of took, they kind of, and I mean, I put myself kind of in a dangerous situation. And it occurred to me to stand up for someone like this, put me in a dangerous situation, and her existing put her in a dangerous situation. The division within our community is from within, it's from us. And it's not until we see each other as the human beings that we are, this valuable, amazing, brilliant, kind, incredible human being. I never would have given enough of an opportunity really to get to know this person. And because I knew her, she taught me to be a better human being. And because I became a better human being, I was able to parent my son in a way that I wouldn't have been able to had I not known her.
Yeah.
And still, and I weighed in on the social media arguments and, Facebook wars and whatever. And I say what I say, not because I think I'm going to change somebody's mind, but because there's somebody out there that needs to know that they're not alone, that they're, that.
But you could change someone's mind, right? Like that's why we do podcasts like this is someone needs to talk about it, because if we're not talking about it, then no one's mind's going to change because no one's open about even this subject right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, you were going to say something.
I'm actually really sad that Sam couldn't make it. Sam is trans, so it would have been, and I'm glad that this came up because this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show, was really because we are so divided. And we are, like, just the two of us could sit here and have conversations about just between gay and lesbian. And then, when you add trans into it, there's a bar here, and it's trans owned, and there's a lot of trans that go there. And it wasn't always that bar, and now it has become that bar. And I know guys that have been do not go there now as much because it is a trans bar. Like and it's not a trans bar. But there's a lot of trans people that are there, trans women that are there. I know from my experience, I almost dated somebody, became really good friends with, someone who was transitioning from male to female, who did transition actually, got bottom surgery, whole 9 yards at this point. And I was so pissed off at her because she wanted to cut off her penis, and I liked it. I like that penis. I don't, So, but what was great about that experience is that I really got to see that experience as in a whole, in wholeness, so
Yeah.
that, and we were friends for 7 years. So through her transition, she wrote a beautiful play, "Give Me Money So I Could Buy a Vagina." Um, it was amazing, and it was kind of went through the journey that she was going through. Um, and end up getting married to a man that's wonderful, Michael. He's amazing. Um, and unfortunately, we fell out uh, shortly after that. But being able to see that transition, see that growth, and see what happened, it does allow me to be more compassionate, like you said, in
Yeah.
different situations. And I'm still not always comfortable, because it's still hard for me. I'm like, I can't imagine getting rid of my penis, and so, but it's not for me to live. I don't have to live their life,
Right.
right?
I know with my son, I don't know if he would still be around if we had not fought for top surgery for him. He was dealing with so much just trauma with a lot of his past, and to be able to live into the person he was meant to be and become. If he didn't have the support in place, if he had not had taps, he would have killed himself. I know this about him. He would not still be here.
Yeah.
And I think, as you said, I think without seeing these experiences, living these experiences, we don't get it. I don't understand it. But when someone says, well, I don't really understand it. Well, you know what? I don't understand Korean either, but I know
Right.
it's a valid language, right? It's not my language, but
Right.
it's a valid language, right? So when someone says, how, I don't get it, that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have
Mhm.
to. But just realize that this is valid for this person. And
just respect them as a human being.
yeah.
Like,
Right.
And
it's just about respecting someone at their core of just them being another human being. And
I want to see
respecting.
the play that your friend wrote, because that sounds amazing. Give me money so I can buy myself a vagina.
So I could buy a vagina.
So I can buy
It
a
was
vagina.
it was absolutely amazing. It was a one-woman show. It was really great. It was produced.
It's got to
They
be on YouTube or
It's going to be on
something.
YouTube
It
somewhere.
has to be.
You know
I'm
what?
writing this down.
I really do hope so, because it really was a
I'm going on a
phenomenal
mission.
show.
Yep.
And she is amazing. She is completely talented, really great person. Um, I'm bummed that we had our falling out.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
but
I've learned so. I mean, I don't know. Your son has taught me so much. Your niece has taught me so much. Some of the compassion that they have about, we see all the time, people commenting about they them and non-binary and and things like that, but they and saying pronouns correctly, and people, well, then they get upset when you say the wrong pronouns. But everyone that I've encountered has been really understanding about it, that they understand people are going to mess up for a while, that
Right.
they understand, and I'm also, every time I go to your house, Tara, and we have a function, I have to ask someone what their pronouns are, because you never know. And
Yes, and that's the way, again.
it's always, and it's interesting to interact with some of them, because they'll tell you, like
Yeah.
like your niece and her partner, and
That's,
and so
at our wedding, when Kathy and I got married the first time, because we married each other 3 times. The first time was what we thought was going to be our only one. It was long before same-gender marriage was legalized. We had this beautiful celebration, and 200 people came. It was a big deal.
it's the
And I
only
looked out
one
at
your
the dance
marriage is gonna
floor.
miss, by the
Say
way.
again?
It's the only one I wasn't present at.
Yep. She was on her second and third, but she was living out in the boondocks at that time. But anyway, at one point I looked out at the dance floor, and I was raised Catholic, and my dad's best friend was this Catholic priest, and he was invited to our wedding, and his mother, the Catholic priest's 99-year-old mother, was also invited to the wedding. And I looked at one point, and the 99-year-old mother of the Catholic priest was dancing with the transgender prostitute, and everyone together was having a gay old time. And I thought to myself, this is what we're called to do.
Yes.
This is what we're born to be, to love everyone right where they are, to meet everyone exactly who they are, to validate them. Not just, it's okay, I guess, for you to be, but to validate them and affirm them and say, you are God's kid, and you are exactly who you're supposed to be, right as you are right now. And I celebrate you just as you are. And if that person changes tomorrow, well, I'll celebrate you again all over again tomorrow. Who are you going to be tomorrow? So,
Yeah.
the division in the community, we have to heal it, because if we're going to continue making progress, we can't keep leaving the letters behind. Every letter's important, right? The alphabet mafia. We have to stand up for each other.
do we have to keep adding letters though? Like,
When I was a kid back in the Stone Ages, it used to be that G, it was instead of LGB,
Yeah.
it was GLB, right? GLB. And then with the AIDS epidemic and I don't know if you know the history of like the letters and everything with the AIDS epidemic and the lesbians standing up and taking care of their gay brothers through this horrible situation to honor them, they moved the L forward, the LGB. And I think it was vitally important to add the T because being lesbian, being gay, being bisexual is about sexual expression, right? I know it's more than that. It's about identity also, but it's also about sexual expression. And the T being part of the community is about their own personal brain matching body, which is different. Say again?
Just keep adding letters.
Right.
At what point do we just say
that's, and I think
community? And I hate to put it that way because I mean, and I'm not just I'm not discrediting anyone, but
this is not discrediting anyone's experience, by the way.
No.
But stop the letters. Yes, I get it. LGBT plus.
Q. we can keep the Q.
Yeah.
LGBTQ. Because that pretty much covers everyone. Let's face it. And if you don't fall into the first four, we're queer. Okay.
Right. And then I for intersex because that is something completely different. Says violent, okay. And then A because I'm an ally and I really like all you guys. Okay, enough. Right. I get it.
I don't need that. I'm an ally. I don't need that. That's just straight people trying to add to come on.
I saw a really
we
great
don't need to be a part of
that. I saw a really great meme the other day that said, we're gonna add S for the straights.
We're just gonna be everybody. Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? Maybe we should be everybody. If we I think it's within our human nature to label people and to label ourselves. When you see a pregnant person, the first thing, oh, is it a boy or a girl? Why do you want to know my child's genitals right now? I don't understand. Why? But it's our human nature to label ourselves and other people. But if we could get away from that, we could move away from the labels and just be, fucking be.
I don't care what you're doing in your bedroom.
I don't care. I don't care what's in your pants.
I don't care what's going on in your bedroom, but
lots and lots of good things are still, after 17 years, still going on in my bedroom.
Heather knows way too much. Heather knows way too much what's going on in my bedroom. So
I know right. That is true.
I have sent pictures.
I know way too much about a lot of people's bedrooms. But that's okay.
Oh.
It's been an hour, you guys. I cannot. We need to do this again.
Can we do part 2?
Yeah,
we can.
I'm having a blast.
We can do whatever we want. That's great. We can do whatever we want. This is our podcast.
Yeah. I cannot express how thankful I am that you were here, and we got to have this conversation because I think that it really truly is important that people, especially people that aren't necessarily in the community, because they see the community, and see all the letters and don't realize that those letters are all segregated, and we're not necessarily working together as much as we could be and should be. And what is needed is for us to stop trying to segregate,
right,
and really start seeing each other as the brothers and sisters we are.
Yeah.
So, part 2, how do we make that happen? How do we break down those barriers? How do we, because I could say, well, my best friend is gay. My best friends, are, some of my best friends are 2 gay men who are a couple. Another one of my best friends is a gay man over here, and I love them all. But when we go out together, they go into one direction, and I go into another direction. So what do we do? Answer. No.
Yeah, it really is a good question. So there's a gay campground here in Michigan. There's 3 gay campgrounds in Michigan. Actually, one of them is pretty new, and the other 2 have pre-established. One is more family friendly, so it's queer more than gay. So lesbians go there too. It's in Saugatuck. It's Camp It. It's one of the first gay campgrounds. And then, but the other one, and I won't name names. Um, there was a thing that came up when there was a trans man that wanted to go, and it's a male only campground. And there was a big thing. Do they want a trans man there? Because it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
clothing optional. And at what level are you at on your did you have bottom surgery? And these are things that we shouldn't ask and we shouldn't need to ask and shouldn't matter so
Right.
much. But it really did there was some really big issues around it and people really did have a very uncomfortable talk and they decided that they weren't doing that trans men were not invited. Were not allowed in that one.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
other one, of course, went the opposite direction. Well, we're all inclusive and did that whole thing, but not having the conversation, about why. Why is that, for some people, would that be really uncomfortable? And would that be uncomfortable for them? What at what level are you at?
Yeah.
And we have the same thing, with TERFs, oh, I'm a feminist and I'm this and I'm pro women, except for trans women, they're not actually women. And then, you know, it's so strange to have body parts define who we are because, let's say I had a mastectomy. Does that mean that I'm somehow less of a woman because I no longer have breasts? Does that make me less than a woman? What about, Heather has gigantic breasts. Is she more of a woman than I am? Because her boobies are bigger? Why do we care
Well,
about what right? Why do we care about something as arbitrary as parts? Why does that define us as who we are? You
Yeah.
know? And at the same time, when I first started thinking that I might be different, I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And I remember thinking, maybe I'm a boy because I'm not I'm not all into dresses and this and that. Maybe I'm a boy. And I'm not. I'm comfortable in my gender. I very much feel that I'm female, but I'm not the dress wearing and the makeup and I'm not that. So am I less of a woman because I'm not, the
no, you are
Barbie
not.
doll,
You're because you're not
So,
lipstick? What?
right. And then,
So I
even
need you guys both to come up with some ideas of how you bring your community together, and we'll do a part 2 because
I think it I think it is through the spiritual spaces,
yeah,
honestly. It is through those spaces. It's through the athletics. It's
Mhm.
through like the outside the bars because although the bars are very important and are can't say enough about how integral bars have been in the past.
Yeah,
Uh, but
cannot be overstated. Yep.
right. Um especially because yesterday was the anniversary of Upstairs Bar tragedy. And before Pulse it was the worst LGBTQ tragedy.
Mhm.
Um
mm,
so that was in New Orleans. Another reason why we need Pride and why June
Yep.
is Pride Month. It's
Yep.
I
not
think
just
Pride
about
Month we need to talk about it more during Pride Month though, because Pride Month is not just festivals, and Jeff, you and I have talked about this, like,
yeah.
it's not just about festivals and getting together and yelling that you're gay. Not that that's not huge and fun and allows people a place to go and congregate and feel included when maybe they don't
Mhm.
always, but I don't know, it has to be talked about. These subjects have to be talked about because if they're not, then it can't go anywhere if you don't talk about it.
Well,
If
the
you keep
history.
sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, there's so much history that is never taught unless you do a
Yeah.
queer studies class if and or you're gay and start looking at some of the stuff and someone says, "Hey, what about this?" That someone elder, I'm one generation off of AIDS, the AIDS epidemic. By the time I came out, there was they start acknowledged it existed and there were some medications for it, in the 90s. So I am fortunate. I am one generation out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother wasn't as lucky.
Yeah.
So it is.
And it's still around. I mean,
It is.
my son is HIV positive.
Yeah.
And it's not the death sentence that it used to be, but it's still scary when you find out.
hmm And I've said this. I
I'll
think
never
every
forget
week.
that
This
phone call.
I think every week. Every week I've said this during Pride. If everyone just did what they're supposed to do, go get tested, get on the appropriate med, either um, your the prevention or the treatment, we can
Hmm.
eliminate AIDS this generation. It could be eliminated. Just done.
Yep.
Just do
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. You know. So
Yep.
that's my PSA for the day. I'm not going to cry anymore because if I talk much more about this, I'm
Everyone
gonna.
had tears
I
today.
know.
Yeah,
What's up with that? I don't cry.
yeah. What happened to my butch lesbian?
I love
Like,
this. I'm gonna pull my card. I'm gonna say it right now
oh,
because all of you elder gays out there on the
Hey,
spectrum,
hey, we're not
it's
elder
time.
gays, we're called owls.
is that what it is?
Old
What?
wise lesbians.
Old
Oh,
white lesbians. I love it.
Wise.
wise,
Oh,
wise.
wise. Okay, that works too. White, wise, whatever. Education, guidance, making yourself available to those who need that guidance and being there. And you and your wife do such a beautiful thing with that. Your church does such a beautiful thing in the guidance of what's going on, and you educate everyone that walks through your door. But if you're listening, make sure that you are guiding the generations below you in order to change what is happening in the world, because that's how we change things, is to allow people to have a space that they know they're not being judged and that they're allowed to just be themselves.
And you know what? I did not grab my cards. And they are not.
That's okay. I have 20 right here. That's
Yeah, you have 20 decks right there. It was funny because I cleaned up my space and so that I can actually have dinner at my table, which is
oh,
crazy.
how rude. Why
I
would
know.
you do that?
And so, and one of the things I did is I moved where my cards go. They go over there.
That's
No.
okay.
So
Thank
my
you
message
everyone
is
for coming.
thank you. Just thank you. And thank you for being, thank you to the people that have taught me. Thank you to that generation that, I'm very fortunate. I had an older gay brother who liked older gay people older than him and had like great, although I came out first, it's all kind of crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so like really thank you for being somebody that can do that.
Thanks for coming and hanging out with us today.
It's been my pleasure and my joy. I heard that, speaking of generations, this way
Are we
is
saying it? Oh,
and then yeah, and then I do something in between. That's a vagina. Anyway, love you guys.
All right. That's on that note, you are loved. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.